Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are doing the Steam follow list cleanup in the honor of spring cleaning, which is around the time that I'm recording these episodes. And so what that boils down to is we're looking at my follow list, which is the list of games that might be good enough to go onto the wish list, which is the list of games I actually want to buy and cover on my YouTube channel, or they might not be good enough and they should then just be removed from the follow list and ignored like so many other games that come out on Steam. Unfortunately, I have so many tabs open right now, some of these pictures will not load properly, some of the screenshots, and that'll be a little bit of a problem, but not too big of a problem. We're going to be looking for one of two major metrics as to why a game would be good enough to be on the wish list or not. We'll be looking at games starting with the letter J today. So our first game is Jet Ant. So this is an example of a game that falls out of the first metric, which would be relevancy. I consider a game relevant when it has an arbitrary amount of 20 verified purchase reviews, that are mostly positive. Here is an example of a game that does not have 20 verified purchase reviews. It has only 4, and it has come out more than 6 months as of this recording because it came out September 20th, 2018. And we're looking at everything before January 1st, 2019 as being older than 6 months. So nobody played the game, thus it's not relevant. Nobody bought the game, nobody reviewed the game, nobody being 4 user reviews. The other metric that might save a game is if it has some special appeal to me, either visually or perhaps it could somehow sell itself with audio or with a gameplay concept. That being said, I don't see anything here that is particularly attractive, and I kind of question why this game is even on my follow list at all. I've noticed that sometimes things are on the follow list because I just clicked the buttons accidentally. I think this is kind of an example of that. This is a ant in a hover ship trying to get coins. A lot of this seems like it is mostly a low effort Unity game that is probably buying the Unity art assets, so it would be what I would consider an asset flip game. Yeah, that seems like there's barely any game here at all. It's $1.45, which is an odd price because almost every single price on Steam is in 99 cents, or at least 9 cents. There are a lot of games that are 69 cents only, which is closer to what this kind of game should be on sale for, although many would argue it shouldn't be allowed on Steam at all. Other red flags we'll be looking for if a game was still in consideration would be what languages it supports. Red flags for that might be English and Russian only, or English and Chinese only, because there's a lot of low effort Chinese games and a lot of low effort Russian games, although most of them don't make it to the follow list in the first place. We might have to come down and look at the negative reviews. In this case, there are no negative reviews, so of its 4 reviews, it is 100% positive, but that doesn't really mean anything in the long run. It's still not relevant, and it's pretty easy for any game developer. If you're willing to spend $100 to self-publish through Steam Direct your game, you're more than willing and capable to get 4 friends to write you a positive review, and that's just not high enough in the counts of reviews and the number of opinions. So Jet Ant is leaving the follow list, which is fine. Most of the games are leaving the follow list. Next game we have is Jewel Match Solitaire. I believe this is from the same publisher, but perhaps not the same developer of the game Regency Solitaire. And And I liked Regency Solitaire. It was a fine enough game. It wasn't amazingly great. The thing that most solitaire games on Steam have is that they're not playing Klondike Solitaire, which is the solitaire most people would recognize, the solitaire that came with Windows 3.1 and most future versions past Windows 3.1. This is more of a game where you match a black 2. That means you'd have to either find a red ace or a red 3 as the next card, and so you can go up and down and match the cards to remove everything. And a lot of these games give special abilities and powers to make it more likely that you'll win, because there's a high chance you won't. That being said, I don't think I need to cover any more solitaire games as it is. So while this does have relevancy, it is 25 verified purchases. It's 84% positive. I don't think we need that. In fairness, this does look like your standard Klondike Solitaire, and this does look like your standard for free or free cell Solitaire. So if you're getting those extra modes in there on top of the main game, that's interesting. Each one of these is a level where you would have a different layout it was very odd in Regency Solitaire for the game to kind of end, but it did. This came out July 26, 2018. It's $9.99. I think because it does have Klondike and Free Cell, I might leave it on the follow list, but then now is the time to make decisions, so I either need to decide right now I do want it in the wish list, or I just want to pass up on it. It has 24 achievements, which might be nice for Steam, certainly, but I am not sure. It also has Spider and Pyramid Solitaire. Of course, on your cell phone, you could easily get 120 different variations of Solitaire for adware for free. And Jewel Match has done something that's slightly slimy in the fact that it has sold mini spin-off Jewel Match games. So there's being recommended here a Christmas themed Winterscapes version, a Halloween themed Twilight Solitaire, and a Valentine's Day La Amour version. So you'd potentially spend $37 for these different versions. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, I don't think I need to cover it. I think people know what Solitaire is, and paying $10 for Solitaire is kind of a crazy idea. So for that reason, I think I will remove this from the follow list too. This is the time to be cruel and show that I've improved my standards quite a bit over the last 6 months, and no longer games that have a little bit of a concept, no longer are those good enough. So next we're looking at Jewel Match Solitaire Winterscapes. Same decision over and over again. There's not anything different. 200 more levels and a different art aesthetic, and that's pretty much it. Seems like you probably get the same free play style games, but they kind of feel like they are a side note. So this will go here. I did want to mention that right now I've been seeing that the internet has been having trouble, so I might click on something or reload a page and find that all of the internet decides not to load, and that's on the back end. That's like YouTube is having trouble, and Amazon is having trouble, so it's probably a major issue, probably a DNS update issue if I was to guess, at the top tier domain name services. If that is the case, that might not really affect me, because I use DNS encrypt through my router, which I don't want to get too nerdy here, but that changes the factor somewhat. Next we have Dual Match Twilight Solitaire. While we're taking side notes, I also want to point out that if we run into any adult games, I have a blur function. We'll check just to make sure there's nothing YouTube unfriendly, but we won't have to use it too much. We probably will run into some visual novels and some games that are lewd or have some nudity in them, but not too many. This same decision, 16 reviews, 93% positive. Arguably, this really doesn't have relevancy. Even by this point, people have decided that it's not worth it to buy all of these games at this price. I don't know how you would sell a product like this properly. If you're going to make a solitaire game, I think you would have to just constantly have new levels coming out and trying to get people to buy some kind of DLC package. So I would say you would have 5 new solitaire games a day on a mobile version, a mobile app, and then if every day it cycles in 5 more of them, and if you want to play more than 5 games a day, you would have to pay some amount of money to unlock the game in total. But I still don't think you would get more than $10 out of that. So yeah, how this is being sold is weird. The price tag is too high for solitaire. Moving on, we have a Job Simulator. Is that what we're doing? Games starting with J, yeah. Job Simulator is one of the first and one of the earliest VR games, comedy VR games, I think, from the people who did Rick and Morty. You're a robot, I think, pretending to be a human that looks like this, and you're pretending to do human things. In a lot of ways, this is a example of a this video I don't think is gonna load because YouTube's down. In a lot of ways, there are a lot of games where you pretend to do somebody else's job, and I find that incredibly annoying and silly and dumb. Like, that's not really what a video game should be. A game is not doing someone's job. Now, in Job Simulator, you're not really doing anyone's job. You're just doing silly things, playing with toys, effectively, desktop toys, and learning how to interact in VR. That being said, Job Simulator also probably doesn't have any of the Knuckles control or any of the updates from the next generation of VR headsets and controllers. So while it still would be a good fun 5 minutes or so, it's probably not as educational as it used to be. You can see over its lifetime it's 83% positive, about 812 reviews. So it should stay on the follow list because it is a VR game. Unfortunately, I still have yet to see enough good VR games to justify the price of buying a VR headset. In this case, also, you're paying $20 for something that I suspect is only 30 minutes. It's in a bundle of 8 games, but it would be easier just to reload this and see if this page reloads. Okay, it did. Alright. So, Thumper, Space Prime Trainer, Space Pirate Trainer, Budget Cuts. Budget Cuts is very similar to Job Simulator. It came out after it. Gorn, Super Hot VR. Yeah, Arizona Sunshine. I don't know if I really would consider this bundle amazingly great, and these are different developers. So somebody's made a bundle of different games from different developers. And then VR Pioneers has a collection of VR games that don't look that amazing. Both of these bundles are pretty expensive too. $164 for eight games, $123 for 6 games. That's asking a lot. Metacritic give it a 66 or 68. It's hard to read actually. 68. Not giving it as high of a review as you might think. But yeah, this will stay on the follow list. I did, up until this point, I haven't explained that part of the reason that I am recording this footage and putting it out as episodes is because there's a lot of back-end work that you do as a YouTuber. If you edit videos, you might spend 3 or 4 times the length of the video editing things. I tend to try not to edit videos because it just adds so much work. But even at that, there's a lot of things that I have to do to find news to talk about when I stream and play Hearthstone every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to look at all the games that come out on those days during those live streams, all the new games on Steam. There's a lot of work that could be hidden in the background, and if I was better funded and more professional, I would do that stuff in the background. But at the moment, it makes content, and content is kind of key, or at least that's been my business plan as far as running my YouTube channel, is to do full, complete playthroughs and show everything I'm doing and be as honest and open about everything I'm doing. So what will probably take 2 hours to go through one level of the alphabet, which means at least 52 hours will be spent going through all of this follow list. That could either be 52 hours hidden, not shown to anybody, or it could be 52 hours that is available as archival footage for people to see. Moving on, though, that was a little side story that I haven't explained myself greatly up until this point. We're looking at a game called Jump Force, and Jump Force is just a shame because the concept is good, but you can see it's 56% positive over its lifetime. It has 2,621 verified purchases. It came out February 14th, 2019, so it hasn't actually been out 6 months, but it does definitely have more than 20 reviews. Now, Jump Force would totally succeed had they done even a decent level of game development on it, but instead it's being published by Bandai Namco, and I kind of would blame Bandai Namco for this, not so much Spike Chunsoft as the developer, because I suspect that Spike Chunsoft probably could make a decent game if they were funded well. Maybe they're not the best at making fighting games per se. We'll click on the developer name and see if we can get a list of things they've done before. But this is a crossover of all of the characters best known around the world from not Spike Chunsoft, but Shonen Jump. Although why then is it only called Jump Force when the weekly publication in Japan is called Shonen Jump, and it is a collection of manga comics that go on forever. So you're talking Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, on top of several other characters that I may not be able to recognize immediately, but most of them. Death Note's in here, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not sure Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in Shonen Jump. This looks like this is a Fist of the North Star character, but I'm not 100% sure. There's definitely another one I saw, but I don't remember. Shaman Force, maybe? Shaman Hunter? That was one. So you would think that it has so many built-in characters that it would be amazingly fun. And there's Dragon Ball Fighter Z came out only a few months earlier, and it was super popular because it did a good job and did a lot of fan service in the sense of making fans happy to see their beloved characters. This not so much. And if you buy the Ultimate Edition, you're spending $100. I assume that includes all the character packs. Let's see. My Hero Academia, I think that's that character. I have no idea who Biscuit Kruger is from. And this is Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, and if we could look at the negative reviews. Worst fighting game I've ever played. It's just an example of Bandai Namco trying to sell out and use the products to sell a bad product. Here we have a 60 on Metacritic, which is too low. Really shouldn't have happened. And when I click Spike Chunsoft, it just took me to Bandai Namco's publisher page, which sucks. That being said, Bandai Namco has kind of a list of games. Tekken 7 is very positive, but I believe One Piece Ultimate World Red Deluxe Edition here is mixed reviewed. Some of the Dark Souls remasters are mixed reviews. Let's see. This is Dragon Ball FighterZ DLC. So, we were just to list the games here. This is mixed. That came out March 14th, 2019. This is mixed. It came out February 14th. This is well received, but it's not a licensed anime tie-in game, although it is pretty anime in its storyline. Sword Art Online Last Song apparently is pretty popular. Let's see. 1111 Memories Retold. I think this is a military walking simulator, for last I can tell. My Hero 1 Justice is positive. Soul Calibur is positive. Gundam Breaker, though, I was hoping New Gundam Breaker would be good, and it's not. So it seems like every time it's an anime tie-in game, there's a 50% chance it's going to be bad. Black Clover is mostly positive. Naruto the Boruto Shinobi is bad. They just know they have that tied-in audience, so they'll often release a bad game. Which, frankly, that's no way to do business. Ni no Kuni 2 is very positive. We won't go through all this. Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet is positive. And then Dragon Ball Fighter Z is very positive. And this came out January 26th, 2018. So it really was only a month after this game, which was super, super popular and positive, that they came out with yet another fighting game from a different company developing it. And it really didn't make any sense. It's a little strange that even in November 3rd, 2017, they were making a Dot Hack game, but this is a remaster of the old Dot Hack series. Dot Hack, for reference, is basically the exact same anime as Sword Art Online, but it came first and died out. So if we look at, in comparison to Dragon Ball Fighter Z, this is 82% positive of 892, 912 user reviews. This is a game just focused around the Dragon Ball storyline, so there's no dimension breaking or weird storyline you have to write to explain why different characters from different worlds are in the same place. And it's made by Arc System Works, so maybe it is really just more of a case of Arc System Works is good at making fighting games, and the developers of Jump Force are not. There has been a long string of bad Dragon Ball games, and that was kind of broken. That trend was broken when this came out. I don't think I own this game, but I certainly wouldn't be upset buying this and covering it. Some might argue that this is not a pure fighter for professional fighting game fans, and it's more of an kids fighter where you can just button mash, but that would be perfectly fine by me. Also, this game introduced a new character, the female doctor that turned into the female pink character, female Boo. So there's something new and extra you're getting with Dragon Ball FighterZ, which you're really not getting any new character from Jump Force at all. So maybe it is just Spike Chunsoft's fault. And looking at the videos and looking at the screenshots, it's kind of hard to tell which game would play well or not. That really does come down to the reviews for fighting games more than anything else. So you really would have to wait for a fighting game to make sure that it's done right. But we spent too much time on Jump Force. Let's move forward. That's being removed. Next we have a game called Jump Up, which has one user review and came out December 21st, 2018. This looks like it is a parkour asset flip game. What happened here in general with parkour games is, at first when I first started seeing them, they looked like they were actually pretty interesting, and like somebody's made a Mirror's Edge clone without having all the funding to do the full art or city design like Mirror's Edge has. But they've got the parkour, the running, the jumping, and stuff done really well. What eventually happened, and what I eventually realized, is that no, actually the parkour is just a bunch of movement assets that can be bought and flipped, like art assets and audio assets can be bought and flipped, and people were making low effort designs where it's just squares in the clouds or a giant skybox. When you look at this game more critically, you see that this rock texture is pretty much the only texture shown in any screenshot, and everything else is going with a neon or a solid surface texture to hide the fact that they didn't want to buy art assets and textures in that way. Even if this was a good game, which it might be, it's not relevant because it has only one review. It's $9.99. It's in a bundle, which a lot of times bundles are an indicator of a bad game, particularly if you see a big bundle with a lot of games that are particularly cheap. In this case, it's with Nudist Beach Survival Simulator, which clearly looks like a troll, sounds like a troll game. It has a third-party end-user license agreement, which Steam should really stop allowing people to do that, at least on Steam Direct games or low games. It makes sense that I'd have to agree to Uplay third-party license agreement if I'm buying a Ubisoft game. It makes no sense to have to agree to some ridiculous extra in-licensing agreement for a game that has no relevancy. This one review, by the way, is not even in my language, but it's not labeled as in my language. And it was activated by a key, so it's not being shown anyways, or not being counted. Yeah, there's literally nothing here. I've seen hundreds of games like this since this came out. I simply put this one on the fall list because it was the first one I saw, and I thought maybe it was good enough. That's at least the story I'm telling now. I'm not really sure if that's really what happened or not. It's been a long time. And we're in a quandary now. So what has happened is there weren't too many J games, so should I stop now, or should I go on and do games that start with the letter K. What's going to happen almost certainly is that when we get to games starting with the word THEV, that will be halfway through all games that start with the letter T, and so there will be at least 2 episodes covering those. So it's probably best just to end it here and have a short episode today, and tomorrow we'll do games that start with the letter K, and that'll probably be pretty long. We didn't really look through a lot of them, and in fact there literally was no game that even made it to the wish list at all. So yeah, that's not super surprising. Ideally, by the time I've done the follow list cleanup in this run, I think in 6 months I might need to do another follow list cleanup, or maybe a wish list cleanup. I'm not 100% sure I'll ever actually need to do another wish list cleanup though, because as long as I keep it curated like it is, and the only time I would get that feeling that there's too many games on it or that there's bad games on it would be during a Steam summer sale, when I'm buying games, or some other Steam sale when I'm buying things. So 6 months from now, as of recording, I'll probably do another follow list cleanup, and when I do that one, I wouldn't be surprised if what is a 52-hour effort now turns into something closer to maybe a 12-hour effort, or even less. Of course, more games are being added all the time, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, when I'm looking at new games that come out and determining if they deserve to be followed. Because usually a game isn't so amazingly good. Even if it was a AAA game, I still want to put it on the follow list to make sure it's not a game like Jump Force that looked like a great game, and I could have easily wishlisted Jump Force before it came out, and then realized it was a bad game and not wanted to buy it, and that would have caused more work. And that is the whole pre-order culture in a nutshell, is that they want to trick people into buying bad games even if they look flashy and interesting. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube. When you subscribe to my YouTube channel, please click the notification bell, otherwise you will not get notifications consistently. If you want a backup source for notifications of new videos, you can friend or follow me on a myriad of social media sites. There's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link down below to Patreon. Or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist, which is why I need my wishlist to be curated, because I don't want somebody gifting me something that I have no interest in actually playing. Or if you don't want to choose, you can also gift gift cards, which is very helpful during sale times. Or you could just pick a game. If you have a very specific game you want to see me cover, you can friend me, make sure I don't already have it, and just gift it to me. And then I will feel very, very obliged to cover it as soon as possible. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.